42. Repealed. Endnote 23. 43. Repealed. Endnote 24. Marginal note as to election of Speaker of House of Commons. 44. The House of Commons on its first assembling after a general election shall proceed with all practicable speed to elect one of its members to be Speaker. Marginal note as to filling up vacancy in office of Speaker. 45. In case of a vacancy happening in the office of Speaker by death, resignation, or otherwise, the House of Commons shall with all practicable speed proceed to elect another of its members to be Speaker. Marginal note, Speaker to preside. 46. The Speaker shall preside at all meetings of the House of Commons. Marginal note, provision in case of absence of Speaker. 47. Until the Parliament of Canada otherwise provides, in case of the absence, for any reason, of the Speaker from the chair of the House of Commons for a period of 48 consecutive hours, the House may elect another of its members to act as Speaker, and the member so elected shall during the continuance of such absence of the Speaker have and execute all the powers, privileges, and duties of Speaker. Endnote 25. Marginal note, quorum of House of Commons. 48. The presence of at least 20 members of the House of Commons shall be necessary to constitute a meeting of the House for the exercise of its powers, and for that purpose the Speaker shall be reckoned as a member. Marginal note, voting in House of Commons. 49. Questions arising in the House of Commons shall be decided by a majority of voices other than that of the Speaker, and when the voices are equal, but not otherwise, the Speaker shall have a vote. Marginal note, duration of House of Commons. 50. Every House of Commons shall continue for 5 years, from the day of the return of the writs for choosing the House, subject to be sooner dissolved by the Governor-General, and no longer. Endnote 26. Marginal note, readjustment of representation in Commons. 51. 1. The number of members of the House of Commons and the representation of the provinces therein shall, on the completion of each decennial census, be readjusted by such authority, in such manner, and from such time as the Parliament of Canada provides from time to time, subject and according to the following rules. Rules. 1. There shall be assigned to each of the provinces a number of members equal to the number obtained by dividing the population of the province by the electoral quotient, and rounding up any fractional remainder to 1. 2. If the number of members assigned to a province by the application of Rule 1 and Section 51A is less than the total number assigned to that province on the date of the coming into force of the Constitution Act, 1985, representation, there shall be added to the number of members so assigned such number of members as will result in the province having the same number of members as were assigned on that date. Endnote 27. 3. After the application of Rules 1 and 2 and Section 51A, there shall, in respect of each province that meets the condition set out in Rule 4, be added, if necessary, a number of members such that, on the completion of the readjustment, the number obtained by dividing the number of members assigned to that province by the total number of members assigned to all the provinces is as close as possible to, without being below, the number obtained by dividing the population of that province by the total population of all the provinces. 4. Rule 3 applies to a province if, on the completion of the preceding readjustment, the number obtained by dividing the number of members assigned to that province by the total number of members assigned to all the provinces was equal to or greater than the number obtained by dividing the population of that province by the total population of all the provinces. The population of each province being its population, as at July 1st of the year of the decennial census that preceded that readjustment according to the estimates prepared for the purpose of that readjustment. 5. Unless the context indicates otherwise, in these rules, the population of a province is the estimate of its population, as at July 1st of the year of the most recent decennial census. 6. In these rules, electoral quotient means a. 111,166 in relation to the readjustment following the completion of the 2011 decennial census, and b. in relation to the readjustment following the completion of any subsequent decennial census, the number obtained by multiplying the electoral quotient that was applied in the preceding readjustment by the number, that is the average of the numbers obtained by dividing the population of each province by the population of the province, as at July 1st of the year of the preceding decennial census according to the estimates prepared for the purpose of the preceding readjustment, and rounding up any fractional remainder of that multiplication to 1. Marginal note, population estimates. 1.1. For the purpose of the rules in subsection 1, there is required to be prepared an estimate of the population of Canada and of each province, as at July 1, 2001 and July 1, 2011, and in each year following the 2011 decennial census, in which a decennial census is taken, as at July 1 of that year by such authority, in such manner, and from such time as the Parliament of Canada provides from time to time. And note 27. Marginal note, Yukon Territory, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. 2. The Yukon Territory, as bounded and described in the Schedule to Chapter Y2 of the Revised Statutes of Canada, 1985, shall be entitled to 1 member. The Northwest Territories, as bounded and described in Section 2 of Chapter 27 of the Revised Statutes of Canada, 1985, as amended by Section 77 of Chapter 28 of the Statutes of Canada, 1993, shall be entitled to 1 member. And Nunavut, as bounded and described in Section 3 of Chapter 28 of the Statutes of Canada, 1993, shall be entitled to 1 member. And note 28. Marginal note, Constitution of House of Commons. 51. Notwithstanding anything in this Act, a province shall always be entitled to a number of members in the House of Commons not less than the number of senators representing such province. And note 29. Marginal note, Increase of number of House of Commons. 52. The number of members of the House of Commons may be from time to time increased by the Parliament of Canada, provided the proportionate representation of the provinces prescribed by this Act is not thereby disturbed. Money votes, royal assent. Marginal note, Appropriation, and tax bills. 53. Bills for appropriating any part of the public revenue, or for imposing any tax or impost, shall originate in the House of Commons. Marginal note, Recommendation of money votes. 54. It shall not be lawful for the House of Commons to adopt or pass any vote, resolution, address, or bill for the appropriation of any part of the public revenue or of any tax or impost to any purpose that has not been first recommended to that House by message of the Governor-General in the session in which such vote, resolution, address, or bill is proposed. Marginal note, Royal assent to bills, etc. 55. Where a bill passed by the Houses of the Parliament is presented to the Governor-General for the Queen's assent, he shall declare, according to his discretion, but subject to the provisions of this Act, and to Her Majesty's instructions, either that he assents thereto in the Queen's name, or that he withholds the Queen's assent, or that he reserves the bill for the signification of the Queen's pleasure. Marginal note, Disallowance by order in Council of Act assented to by Governor-General. 56. Where the Governor-General assents to a bill in the Queen's name, he shall by the first convenient opportunity send an authentic copy of the Act to one of Her Majesty's principal Secretaries of State, and if the Queen in Council within 2 years after receipt thereof by the Secretary of State thinks fit to disallow the Act, such disallowance, with a certificate of the Secretary of State of the day on which the Act was received by him, being signified by the Governor-General, by speech or message to each of the Houses of the Parliament, or by proclamation, shall annul the Act from and after the day of such signification. Marginal note, Signification of Queen's pleasure on bill reserved. 57. A bill reserved for the signification of the Queen's pleasure shall not have any force, unless and until, within 2 years, from the day on which it was presented to the Governor-General for the Queen's assent, the Governor-General signifies, by speech or message, to each of the Houses of the Parliament, or by proclamation, that it has received the assent of the Queen in Council. An entry of every such speech, message, or proclamation shall be made in the journal of each House, and a duplicate thereof duly attested shall be delivered to the proper officer, to be kept among the records of Canada. 5. Provincial Constitutions, Executive Power. Marginal note, Appointment of Lieutenant Governors of Provinces. 58. For each province there shall be an officer, styled the Lieutenant Governor, appointed by the Governor-General in Council by instrument, under the Great Seal of Canada. Marginal note, Tenure of office of Lieutenant Governor. 59. A Lieutenant Governor shall hold office during the pleasure of the Governor-General, but any Lieutenant Governor appointed after the commencement of the first session of the Parliament of Canada shall not be removable within 5 years from his appointment, except for cause assigned which shall be communicated to him in writing within 1 month after the order for his removal is made, and shall be communicated by message to the Senate and to the House of Commons within 1 week thereafter if the Parliament is then sitting, and if not then within 1 week after the commencement of the next session of the Parliament,